where you're allowed to speak. Hopefully, some of you will try to go with 5 minutes, but hopefully you will only do 5 minutes, okay? Mr. Stephen Edmondson, everybody's here.
Steve Edmondson, 100 Burt, BURT Avenue, Oceanside. Say hello to my councilman.
Steve, how are you?
Good. We have a problem with traffic at Oceanside, and I didn't want to call you before the election, but the election's over. Maybe we can get some town officials and county officials.
What's the issue?
The stop sign on Foxhurst Road where the poor girl, 14 years old, got hit by a car.
That corner, that is a county road, but I will.
Yeah. Also, several other issues. We'd like to have you come down to the Civic Association. Also, our president is the Nassau County, president of the Nassau County Civic Associations.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's Ray Pagano, yes. So,
Tell Ray to give me a call, and I will be happy to come down.
okay.
Okay.
And also the building department. We're having problems with the building department with harassment and vets in our town. I think you're aware of that. Okay.
You'll take care of that,
I
right?
will take care of it.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That's very nice. Short. Professor, he left, didn't he? Professor, I think he was here already, so he's gone. From Woodmere. Ms. Terry Winston. Terry Winston from Hempstead. Okay. Paul Goodman from Merrick. Aaron Goldsmith. Aaron Goldsmith.
I think they left.
Okay. And Marissa Funderburg, I know she left. Oh, this is going good. Now this is Pearl Jacobs left, right, Pearl? Okay, come. I didn't see you. I thought you had left. Oh, you wish I left? No. He's gone.
Pearl Jacobs,
Okay.
Uniondale. I'm going to read something, page 59 of the Town of Hempstead preliminary budget for the year ending December 31st, 2018.
Wait, say, what page is it?
Page 59.
Because I don't have a book up here, so that's why. Okay.
Okay. Function, Community Service Department, Water, Responsibility and Activity. The Town of Hempstead Water Department operates the Bowling Green Estates, East Meadow, Levittown, Lido Point Lookout, Roosevelt Field, and Uniondale Water Districts, which in turn provides potable water to the residents and businesses in the communities of Bowling Green, East Meadow, Levittown, Lido Point Lookout, Roosevelt Field, and Uniondale, as well as portions of North Belmore, North Merrick, and East Garden City. And that's my problem right there. That's the problem that we have in Uniondale, East Garden City. I'm going to read to you the resolution adopted by the Town of Hempstead, April 14, 2015. Councilwoman Goolsbee offered the following resolution and moved its adoption as follows. Resolution requesting U.S. Census Bureau to change the census tract delineated as East Garden City to Uniondale. Whereas the Greater Uniondale Area Action Coalition has requested the Town Board of the Town of Hempstead to support a change in the designation of Census Tract 4073.01 as delineated in the 2010 census, and whereas the 2010 census delineates Census Tract number 4073.01 as East Garden City, and whereas the delineated tract corresponds to the historic Mitchell Field, documented by New York State government through New York State Division of Military and Naval Affairs, Military History, to be Mitchell Field, Uniondale, Long Island, 1917 to 1961, a U.S. Army Air Corps base, whereas this board deems it to be in the public interest to agree to change the name of the census tract. Now therefore be it Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Hempstead formally requests the U.S. Census Bureau change the name of your Census Tract 403.01 from East Garden City to Uniondale, and be it further resolved that in correspondence, statements, maps, and websites, the Town of Hempstead henceforth refrains from the use of East Garden City. The foregoing resolution was adopted upon roll call as follows.
Okay,
Okay, now,
Councilwoman, may I?
yes,
Yeah.
go ahead.
yes.
The short
I was
answer-
going to direct
The
this to you.
short answer is that that's a mistake. It's a typographical error. It should never have happened, and we will make sure we correct it.
Well, it's happening more often now. We're seeing it all over the place. We're seeing it on maps. We're seeing it in the news that we're seeing it in different correspondents, different areas in the Mitchellfield area. They're designating themselves as East Garden City. Uniondale is Mitchellfield.
We cannot control what private industry does. And if you say you're seeing it on maps, I'm gonna hope
isn't that what
you're
the
not seeing it on a
resolution said?
town map. If other municipalities.
We've seen it on town maps, and I can get you copies of that. We've seen it on town maps.
On-
We have seen it on town maps. That's why I'm here.
Well, okay, so we're going to take a look at that, but
And then
the resolutions that you read are correct. That's the sense of the board, and East Garden City is not to be used.
Yeah, and Uniondale is asking that you refrain from this use of East Garden City designation. And it's a non-entity. And Senior Councilwoman Gooseby, we ask that there's a small sign going, I do believe, on Charles Lindbergh Boulevard, a small sign that says Uniondale. It could barely be seen. It's adjacent to the Coliseum, the hub.
Okay, just a minute, is a traffic person here? Traffic?
It's
Okay. So I
probably a
won't hear
county,
this.
it's probably a county road, but we'll notify
That's
them.
her issue, please.
Yeah, if you can investigate that, it's a sign that says Uniondale is so small you can't see it. We would like Senior Councilwoman a much more visible sign there. Please, thank you. And we are definitely fighting this at every turn. We're not going to tolerate this new age colonialism in Uniondale. Thank you.
Okay, you have a meeting tomorrow, remember?
Yes.
2 o'clock.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Stu Krill? Excuse me? Really? We just saw it yesterday, the other day. Uh-huh. You're welcome. Teresa, you hear that?
Hey, how are you? Stu Kroll, Port Washington, New York.
You're welcome.
I just want to give some recent reflections on the election. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. First of all, congratulations to everybody on the board that was reelected. Sort of disappointed Mr. Santino is not here to hear this, but
But, sir, this is not the right place for that.
not the right place for what?
If you want to discuss the election, this is not the right section for that. Not here.
These are general comments. I believe I have a right to talk about whatever I'd like.
Mr. Attorney?
Do you want, are you going to talk about town issues? I mean, this is not, it's not a political, it's not a political forum. You
I'm going
understand
to talk
that.
about things that relate to everything that goes.
Well, I guess let's see where he's going.
Okay, we'll see where it goes. Yeah, okay, I think I can talk about whatever I really would like to. First of all, I think that the normal political machinations that go on everywhere were way above and beyond over here. Okay, that's the first thing that I'd like to say. When you have people running a major department because his father was somebody's driver, or secretaries making $130,000 a year because somebody they know on the board, I think that's a little bit, above and beyond. Also, what I'd like to say is a horrible thing is when you get somebody, one of the town attorneys that's also making a large six-figure amount of money, and when they go and they foil information on a charity for developmentally challenged, children, I think that, and it turned out, I think that it was, very much in their detriment to have done that. But what I'd really like to know is how low that person can actually go. Is there some level, exactly, is there some level that even Mueller wouldn't have stooped to for political gain?
Mr. Town Attorney, is that a lawsuit?
The matter's in litigation.
What's that?
No, wait. Just because the matter's in litigation, we can have a public conversation about this.
I'm speaking to him. Would you please wait till I finish, and then you can speak? But I just want to know Because I know they were out there and they were picketing and so forth, and I was told that they had filed a lawsuit. Is that true or not?
You're talking about Camp Anchor, correct?
Sorry, what
Are
you,
you talking about the Camp Anchor issue?
I understand
Yeah.
there's a lawsuit going on, but
Right, so
I'm
what's
trying to
your-
give my ethical, I'm not talking about the legal ramifications, I'm trying to give what I consider the ethical, issues involved.
Okay, well, feel free.
Okay.
But I'm not going
I
to
just
answer
touched on that.
questions about any matters that are in litigation.
Right, okay, that's fine. And I'm moving on from that point anyway. Under different circumstances, I would probably feel a little bit sorry for those that in the normal, political upheavals would be losing their jobs, but this situation and this election is very personal to me. When conditions at the shelter are such that we have a $4 million budget and $10,000 is spent on uniforms and $500 is spent on animal marketing, I think there's something very wrong with that. I mean, that's totally ridiculous. And apparently this administration had zero conscience. And I'm sorry the supervisor, as I said, is not here. Speaking of a lack of conscience, I'll always be sad at the situation that happened, at the Oceanside landfill. Dozens of cats were made the innocent pawns in a quest for a political retaliation. Until it was way too late, no individual or group was allowed access to the property except for the corrupt and cowardly SPCA, with our good friend Gary Rogers. I'll forever be proud of the many individuals that stood out there for hours in the blazing sun on numerous occasions to protest such inhumanity. What a petty individual to use that, and to threaten to throw away the cars of all the protesters. It was those actions, as far as I'm concerned, that were the seeds of his defeat. He apparently thought no matter what he did, that his cronies could basically carry the day for him, but apparently he was wrong. People were sick of all the lies and all the cronyism and found a candidate in Laura Gillen who actually exemplified decency and class. If you extend my time, if Mr. Santino were here, I would explain the word class to him, but you'd have to extend my time quite a bit beyond where it is now. Sending out a photo of a dog and a cat was a slap in the face of all those who care so much about the animals. When he contemplates why he will no longer be sitting in that center seat, he can think about all those powerless animal people just took away his power. And the last point, which Mr. Rye, you could probably help me with, an individual who I won't name in a major department who had the guts to go out there, take a position opposing, Santino, had his hours changed to a midnight shift. Now, isn't that against the Constitution for political retribution like that? Or correct me if I'm wrong.
Here's what I would say to you.
Okay.
That person, if he's a town employee and he feels that happened with him, he has union protection. He should go to his union and they will file grievance on his behalf.
Sure, they will.
I'd be reasonably certain that didn't happen.
Really? It's probably just a coincidence, one of many. Anyway, personally, I think that the head of that department that did that to him, should be fired and probably arrested as well. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Aaron Russ. Aaron Russ from Brooklyn.
Thank you very much for your time and your concern for having me. Okay, so how does my just speak like this?
Yeah, put it up to you so we can hear you.
It's my first time here.
Okay. Oh, well, I'm sure you're from Brooklyn, right?
Yes, I am actually from Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn.
Oh, okay.
My name is Aaron Ross, and I do have plans, or I may have plans to move to Long Island in the future. So, something to think about. But if I do move here and I eventually have children, raise a family here, one of the things that is going to concern me is education. I want to make sure that my children have a good education, and I think it's something that applies to the whole town and all of Nassau County for that matter.
Except we don't control education. That's Education Department of Education.
Okay, but one of the issues is, maybe you could relay this to the Department of Education, is the fact that they have classes that teach reading, writing, math, and science. And I think that's wonderful. However, I think that they should also have a class to teach morality and ethics. Thank you. One of the important things about education is it should teach children essential life skills. And how we treat each other is just as important as math and science, reading and writing, and in some cases it might even be more important. And people should learn, basic values and basic, virtues such as kindness, honesty, giving to charity, sharing, and just how to be a decent, good, loving, caring human being. And I think that if we had that, especially starting at a young age, it would reduce or even eliminate many of the vices that we see in our society today. And I know that Long Island, especially Nassau County, puts a lot of money into the education system. And that's why I think that we could use that to create a great education system that will serve as a model for places all over the country. And one of the things that we could improve is to teach kids a course on morality and ethics, something very basic. Exactly, it should be everywhere. And the best time to teach it is when...
Sorry to disturb you. I mean, that's what.
Oh, no, it's fine. Hey, it's fine.
That's what you're saying. We should be taught to really respect each other.
Exactly. But I think that it's important because people learn when they're young, and that's the best time to teach. You could always learn something when you're older, but the best time to teach is at a young age, and you can really instill in our children good values, and that's one of the reasons that's the best way to make the world a better place, is to teach people well from a young age. So if they had that proposal where they could include a class on morality and ethics as a regular part of the curriculum, that would be a tremendously wonderful thing, and it would definitely motivate me to move to this town if that could actually be implemented. And I firmly believe that if a proposal was made that would teach children and people all throughout school, middle school, high school, elementary school, and even college, basic virtues of morality and ethics, it is a proposal that I think would be endorsed by Jesus Christ himself. So not to get religion into this, but I consider him the most righteous person who ever lived, but that's something that he would endorse himself. And we should have that for all humanity. So it doesn't have to be religious. I'm not advocating let's teach, the Torah, the Bible, the Quran, but I'm saying that there should be some basic level of humanity that all people should learn. And there's no time better than when they're children.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And maybe you should go to Albany and talk to the ones who control our education so they could listen to you. I'd like that.
Certainly, that would be great. And if you have any connections, or maybe you could send them a letter proposal, on our constituents, behalf, it would be wonderful. So.
Thank you.
That's exactly what they talked about in the sermon after the gospel this morning at Mass.
Oh, great! I didn't even listen to it, but that's good to know.
All right. Thank you. John Joseph. But yes. That's you? Okay.
I've been called John Budnick ever since on November 4th, 1949. I was born at Mitchell Field Air Force Base.
Wow.
Hempstead, New York.
Okay.
Okay? At the first U.S. Air Force Headquarters Base Hospital.
Thank you.
On Hospital Road in what's the west end of Nassau Community College. Indeed, I was born a resident of the town of Hempstead, and I'm very proud of that. And in my later life, I attended schools in East Meadow and Wisdom Lane School in beautiful downtown Levittown. Then I moved to Hicksville, and I've since then been in the town of Oyster Bay. I come before you personally because I am trying to advocate both to the town of Hempstead, the county of Nassau, under the Board of Trustees of Nassau Community College, the creation of, in the west end, primarily, of Nassau Community College, a Mitchell Field / Hazelhurst Field historical district. It is indeed the 100th anniversary of the creation of that airfield in World War I both Hazelhurst Field number 1, which became Quentin Roosevelt Field, and Mitchell Field, just south of it, just primarily south of Stewart Avenue, and it went down all the way to Front Street. Of course, the area south of Hempstead Turnpike to Front Street was considered, it was the segregated black area of the base as a result of the rules created by President Wilson before and during World War I. It was later officially halted, ordered to be halted by Harry Truman, and effectively halted by President Eisenhower, who had a meeting with the Joint Chiefs of Staff and told them that if anybody was opposed to the integration of the armed forces, they needed a new job immediately. Anyhow, that's beside the point. During World War I, thousands and thousands of aviators trained at these two bases, including the president's son, Quentin Roosevelt, was killed in action during World War I. More importantly, during the interwar period, Mitchell Field became the premier base in the northeast area of the United States. And in 1940, it was designated the headquarters for the entire northeast quadrant of the United States, the headquarters of the 1st United States Air Force. It's also the headquarters of the Air Defense Command, not merely for the East Coast, but the entire United States of America at one point. Headquarters of the Continental Air Command, headquarters of the Air Corps' Anti-Submarine Command. My own uncle, who was torpedoed on a Texaco tanker right off of Fire Island. That submarine surfaced, and the men were going to their guns to kill all the survivors when planes from Mitchell Field intervened and drove the German submarine away. We have an enormous history that is not being told. We need to create a place where it can be told, where we can understand what happened in World War I here on Long Island in the interwar years. In the interwar years, Mitchell Field became the headquarters for the joint U.S. Army, U.S. Navy Aeronautical Medical School. The first one, the only one that ever existed. And there are numerous other reasons why Mitchell Field is very historically important. I understand some people at the Aviation Space Museum, some friends of mine from the U.S. Air Force Association, of which I'm a member, are in the process of trying to put together an application, both to the state and federal government. It will need the support of the town of Hempstead, the county of Nassau, and the Board of Trustees, who I'll speak to later over at Nassau Community College, to effectuate the creation of such a historical district for the benefit of each and every one of us. Okay? Thank you all very much.
Mr. Derry? Mr. Derry, would you meet with this gentleman, so see if you can help him?
Okay.
Okay, you'll meet with Mr. Derry. Mr.
Yes,
Derry?
I'm an old friend of Mr. Derry.
Okay, well, you
And
can
Councilman Dunn, and among others. And I thank you all, honorable members of this town board, for hearing me and hopefully hearkening to the need of all of us on the island to create something that will mark our real history and our great, great veterans. Without them, the Holocaust might be going on still in Germany.
Thank you, sir, for your service.
God bless you, one and all.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much.
My compliments.
Okay, Mr. John Urbrecht? No. The next person is Dominica Califano. No. Califano? That's you?
Yeah, you see, you don't even know who I am, but.
No, I don't. I just want to make sure that you're not taking somebody else's place.
Oh, no, I knew you
Okay,
tried to
go
go
ahead.
back of the pile, but. Okay. First things first, I wanted to just say, if possible, if you could hold off on passing any of the hiring and promotions until Lauren Gillen is in place.
This is not the place for that. This
No.
is for public comment.
Okay, I'm just bringing it up because everyone's given promotion and hiring everyone before Santino is out.
That's something that has to go before the board.
Okay, the other thing is, Anthony D'Exposito has a building in Island Park that has no permits for any of his awnings. I got numerous violations. I have to pay $250 every 2 years for an awning on my property. And him as a councilman should be paying for his awning on Austin Boulevard in Island Park. It's not because he's a councilman and he can run wild. This is not the Wild West. That's the first thing. Second of all, he has his friend that he hired, Garrett Gordon, has been all over the internet, bullying, cursing families out on company time. Ed Madden, the date is
Please.
July 21st at 9:30. This is taxpayers' money on Town of Hempstead thing that they're out cursing families out. Garrett Gordon, Christopher Downs, Ed Madden, the building department. They have harassed me for over 3 years because I have spoke out about corruption in the county. I have the police department coming by my house to arrest me. I was arrested and I was put all over the news at gunpoint because I've been speaking out about you people. Anthony D'Exposito's family has been on this payroll and friends for the last year, and it's more than ever before. I had to have this officer out here escort me outside to my car because I have your employee of the town of Hempstead, Garrett Gordon, threatening me outside in a parking lot. This is a disgrace, what is going on here. That I had to hire an attorney to sue the town of Hempstead and the village of Island Park, and it continues to go on. I'm not sure where we live. I thought this is the town of Hempstead, and everyone's equal fairly, that I come out and speak out about corruption and about people's behavior and the bullying on election. Dog poop all over my office windows in Island Park. These are your people that are councilmen. This is how they conduct themselves? This is a disgrace of the bullying in Nassau County. Garrett Gordon, since he's been employed here, has 3 lawsuits against him already. This is taxpayers' money. How can we have an employee of the town of Hempstead behave this way? Isn't the company policy, Mr. Ra, I wrote to your office, you never answered back. It has nothing to do with the lawsuit. The company policy is that no social media is allowed to be on, no employees could be on social media on company time. You have Ed Madden, the building department, throwing me in violations, putting pictures up on company time at 9:30. This is great, taxpayers. All us taxpayers. It's not part of my lawsuit. That's all you say is blah, 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 blah.
First of all, if you're a plaintiff against the town of Hempstead, I cannot speak with you.
It has nothing to do with this. He has,
It doesn't
he
matter
has
if it-
Anthony
Number two,
D'Exposito's
if you
friends
sent
all
us- if
over.
you
It
sent
has
us-
nothing to do with this. I'm just showing you what your employees do on company time. All over Facebook, all over the internet. It's his buddy of his picture, Garrett Gordon. I have text messages with Anthony D'Exposito to stop the bullying from the Island Park Fire Department. Now he brought it into the town of Hempstead because that's how they run.
If that was sent to us.
It was sent to you and you ignored it.
That's not true. We're
Don't
investigating
be
it.
so loud. You can talk.
I'm not. It's enough. If this was happening to you, how do you feel?
Listen, I don't
How would you feel?
know anything about
You wouldn't feel, you know nothing about it. You saw me up here for how many years?
I don't know anything about what you're speaking of.
You know nothing about what I've been speaking about here for 2 years. I called your office and spoke to you also. I spoke to your office. Yes, I do, and I have the copy of the voice message. I'll let you hear it. You were told about all this, what they've been doing. Since Anthony D'Exposito came as council, it became living hell for people in Island Park. And his bully, Garrett Gordon, Ed Madden, they're on company time. Anthony has no awnings for his, he has an awning on his business with no permits. They ended up violating, what was his name, Roy Gunter, for 5-day suspension because of his dirty political connections, that nothing happens to him. This is not fair.
Okay. All right, next person, Mary Ellen Craig. finish with all this stuff.
Mary Ellen Cray, 436 Locust Avenue, Uniondale. So I notice there's a major disparity between the way concerns of the minority community are handled. I'd like to point up the difference between how Uniondale issues are decided versus Five Towns Golf Course. I wish we had a moratorium on development at A. Holly Patterson property. This is really, we have so much of a greater density in that proposal, and yet it was passed by this town board. Another thing, I'm concerned about the possible additional cost cutting in senior services. Now, the senior citizens movie is supposed to be a very popular situation. Senior citizens enjoy it, but I caution about having a sedentary activity. Everybody knows seniors by and large are very sedentary, and having this replace an active movement class. And in many cases, those Friday classes are going on in various communities. And we've been told, well, there's no Friday class this Friday, there's no Friday class next Friday, there's no Friday class until December.
Is that because of the holiday? Or what? Is that normal? That's not normal, is it?
It isn't normal. No, but there are different activities planned. And as I say, they are by and large sedentary activities. And it seems to me it could be better scheduled. And if people want to go to a movie, it shouldn't replace.
Someone come up and speak. Okay. I didn't see that. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Lisa Murphy, Deputy Commissioner, Senior Enrichment. When we put in the movie matinees, that was because we did get an awful lot of seniors which had asked specifically that we weren't able to have movies anymore, because several years ago we were having movies in many of our centers. However, because of the requirement for a licensing agreement, we were forced to disband the viewing of these movies. But we were able to discover that if we were to have them in one location, we could get a license for that one location, provided it was a community/senior center, which Levittown Hall is. So we entered into a licensing agreement so that we would be able to show these classic movies. However, again, only in one place. So we looked at all of the calendars for the 15 centers that we operate, and we said, look, once a month, that's it. We will have the movies in one location, and we will provide busing for anyone that goes to the centers that would like to come, as well as anyone from the general public 55 or over throughout the town are welcome to attend the movie once a month on a Friday. There have been one or two centers where there was an athletic class of some sort that was scheduled for the time of that movie. Again, it's only once a month. And wherever possible, we have said that that instructor can reschedule for that particular week for a different day during the week so that that center does not lose that opportunity. Unfortunately, it can't happen everywhere, but wherever possible. So it's really only one day a month, and wherever possible, we're rescheduling that physical activity.
Okay, thank you so much.
I have no issue with the movie. I just have issue with not.
No, I understand, yes.
But she's saying only once a month, so that's not bad. But I do.
Yes,
I
but
went
that comes to 10 times a year. So maybe you think it's nothing, but people who are trying to keep our 150 minutes of aerobic activity.
But most people are not like you. You go climbing, you go hiking and all of that. So you really keep yourself in good shape, you and your husband.
You would be surprised how many people are involved in these activities.
All right.
So the main thing is it's very important to keep them going.
Okay.
And I would like to congratulate you, Senior Councilwoman Gooseby, on your reelection.
Thank you.
And for Supervisor Santino, I want to thank him for his service to the town,
Thank you.
our town.
All right. Let's see, who should I call first? Should it be Diane Matten? Come on. Diane, are you?
Okay, so this lovely young woman that went to the animal shelter and was tortured to go in and out 3 times. Let me remind you, we are overcrowded with dogs, so how in the world there aren't policies and procedures to help get these dogs adopted and out? Well, that's pretty self-explanatory because that was Michael Pastore. He creates the policies and procedures, and yet it's very evident to me in one conversation with this woman that Michael Pastore called her in, misleading her to believe the dog was still there, knowing that dog was adopted, to throw Miss Nancy Gieris under the bus.
No,
who is,
I know the whole story.
I know the whole story too.
Well, I know exactly what happened because I was intervening and I called Mr. Pastore and asked him to call her, so he did. There was someone that, I don't want to say what it is, but you know, it's a whole different story from what you're saying. I know them personally, and I asked her to call him. I called him myself because of what happened. There was no reason it should have happened. So
Correct.
That's a
So-
different story, Diane.
So, no, that's not a different story, because when she got there, she just got finished telling me that Michael Pastore threw Nancy Gieris under the bus and entirely blamed her for not adopting this dog to her, when Nancy Gieris is held to a policy and procedure that Mr. Pastore created. She also informed me that since then, no one has called her for another dog to adopt, and this is going back to October. So how can you explain that?
I'm not going to explain it to you because you know you have someone there who is has a lawsuit, I believe, against the town, so I'm not going to get involved in it.
Who has a lawsuit against the town? You know what?
I'm telling you,
Okay.
there's some things you may not know.
Okay. What I do know is that director creates the policies and procedures, and they obstruct adoptions. And there is a dog that didn't go home because of him, not because of Miss Gieris. And it just tells me that the retaliation and false investigations are still taking place. As far as the subject that was brought up before, the gentleman from the public safety, who I greatly admire his courage. It's very, very hard to speak out and say the things everyone else wants to say, but he did support Laura Gillen, and because he related to all the things that we said, Mr. John Allen. But since he spoke out, he was punished and retaliated against and targeted, and by Billy Kovaskis, who I believe is an executive assistant of Supervisor Santino, transferred Mr. Allen to Midnight to punish him. So again, you know, I don't want to waste too much time speaking about these things, but a lot of things have got to be undone come January and redone. And more importantly, I think, is that everything needs to be exposed as to how corrupt this town has operated, how many people have been targeted, and how many people have been affected by this administration. As far as, in fact, the comment that you made, Councilwoman Gooseby, where you said that you were abstaining from the park, what I noticed with the other council people, such as Councilwoman Sweeney and Councilman Blakeman, they naturally explain anytime they don't vote on something.
Excuse me, you said I abstained from the park.
From, right, the park vote.
I voted for it. You're wrong. I voted for that. Oh, that's what I don't have to explain it to, but I know what I did.
You're going to have some explaining to do, Mr. Rod. Don't worry about the town board. Also, the The Inspector General issue, I realize it's put off. What I'd like to find out from the board members is more details about what they would like and what the responsibilities will do, because as you know, we've talked about illegal contracts, we've talked about qualified employees getting overlooked to hire friends and family for six-figure positions. What I would like to see happen as soon as possible, because I feel certain this is going to go through, is that every item that went before this board gets reviewed, contracts, jobs, promotions, just the damage that was done today. What do you see happening as far as this Inspector General? Will that be a responsibility?
So I'm not sure what's going to happen with the Inspector General. I tried to push it off, I say push it off, but till January, just
Right.
so that we could give Supervisor-elect Gillen an opportunity to work with us on
agree.
drafting it so that all the language is appropriate and as extensive as it needs to be and all of that. So I'm not sure what's going to happen on December 12th, whether it gets voted up, down, or it's reserved. But that all said, once she does take office, I do think we have an opportunity to look at everything. I think that over the next 6 weeks or so, lots of conversations will be started. At the outset, having probably nothing to do directly with the Inspector General proposed law, but having to do with the other notices that were issued in a faulty manner. I haven't yet heard back on how many we're dealing with, including the so-called ethics legislation. So I think we need a full accounting of how many laws are on the books that shouldn't be on the books, and the next steps to how to fix that. And I also looking forward to trashing that fake ethics legislation and really moving forward with meaningful stuff instead of stuff that was aimed at removing Bruce Blakeman and myself from office. So to answer your question, I'm not sure yet, but I think we will have a lot of good conversations going forward.
Thank you. And to find out what you mean specifically about they haven't answered you yet. Who has not answered you yet?
I think about 2 to 3 weeks ago, I think I so lost track of time with all the events that have happened, but about 2 to 3 weeks ago, I sent a letter to the town attorney's office asking for a full accounting of what notices weren't handled properly. My office did it in a couple days. I believe Newsday did it in a couple days. We think there are 4 or 5, maybe there's more. So I don't know how many weren't handled properly, and I also don't know what the next steps are. I've heard competing information on whether or not the ethics legislation as passed is valid or not. So all of this I have no information on.
So you're still in the dark. No one.
Totally in the dark.
Totally in the dark. Can you explain that, Mr. Ra?
The review is ongoing.
It's like the internal investigation. What I did also want to point out, and I don't mean to single you out, Mr. Ra, because there's a lot of people in high-ranking places in this town that really have no place in this town any longer. But what I wanted to mention, you typically talk to the public about civil service and following certain civil service. And what most of the public does not know is that you, Town of Hempstead, have their very own civil service. You own it, you work with them, you design jobs around people, and that is the truth. And that is one of the most corrupt parts of this wheel that has destroyed the well-being of not only current employees, but residents. That you have a design to create jobs around your friends and family. How do I go about getting all of the resignations that came when Supervisor Santino took office? I know he had asked for the resignations of, I believe, department heads, appointed positions, attorneys, and whatnot. How would I go about?
Your time is up. Philip Picacci.
No one else was told their time was up, and the clock kept
I
going.
gave you another hour. I gave you another
Foil it.
Felix?
And I'm giving you another opportunity not to take Santino's place and be the next bully.
Felix?
I just want to address, as far as Mr. Rye and Dorothy Gooseby's comment about politics, Supervisor Santino puts on the website, on his page, that he won by 60% of the vote. How is that relevant to his duties? I mean, if somebody wants to talk about politics, I guess you could talk about anything you want to talk about, but nobody brought up that as being unethical or not appropriate for a supervisor. You put about what you're doing, what you stand for, something like that, but to put that you won by 60% of the vote, and you should have put that you won by 60% of a vote by a candidate who spent less than $2,000 when you spent over, $500,000 in 2016? Why don't you put all the relevant information together if you're going to say how you won? You won by outspending your opponent, 1,001 plus all the mailings that had your picture on it. But, put all the information up. Like I always said, I really don't care about it as long as it's comprehensive. On the law, Madden versus the town of Hempstead, I was promised that I was going to get that foil. It's past due. I appealed it. Your professional town clerk here, I know Nashma Ahmad said she has the best staff in the freaking country, I understand. I said they can't even respond to a FOIA request saying that it's being delayed, the comptroller won't answer it, or whatever the situation is. These are past due. And I've never been given a reason why they've been delayed.
What are you looking for, Madden versus?
Well, it's Madden versus the town of Hempstead, her latest lawsuit, the invoices, and the Dover Malibu contract. And I've gotten no response from the town clerk's office. And this is going on weeks past due on my FOIL appeal. So the professionalism doesn't exist. I mean, put it in context. Tell the truth. Say we're professional, but we don't respond to FOILs in a timely manner.
Invoices on Madden versus Tanner Hempstead.
Yeah, the invoices.
And the Dover contracts you haven't seen. Okay.
Okay. And are FOILs stamped when they are received by the town clerk's office?
Yes.
They're stamped. So even if they receive by email, they're stamped? There's a time stamp on it?
If it's by email, I guess the email has a date on it.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yeah, I submitted the FOIL request for the camp, Anchor Children. The town did not even acknowledge receipt of the FOIL request. Not even, it's been past 5 days. You can stop the clock.
Let me just tell you, well, first of all, you should have gotten a 5-day letter acknowledging the FOIL request on the Camp Anchor stuff. The problem with Camp Anchor is it's under litigation, and the attorney for the plaintiff has asked us, because they think it's not public information, so they've asked us to hold off disseminating. We entered into a stipulation in Supreme Court, holding off until the end of this month to give them an opportunity to bring an order to show cause, to have a judge order us not to release it. So that's where we are in that.
Has that stipulation been signed by two parties, by the town?
Yeah.
They've both been signed?
Yes.
I could get a copy of that stipulation since it's public information.
I don't know if it's filed in the court, but if it's public, if it is, you get a copy of it.
I'm going to ask for the stipulation. Is Supervisor Santino paying for his own lawyer?
We're still reviewing. Look, this just happened last Tuesday was when we were served. So right now we've hired an attorney to put in an answer and request time to answer. We're looking at the allegations to see whether the allegations against the parties are in their public capacity or in their private capacity. So as of this instant, the parties are being represented by the same attorneys representing the town. That could change over the next couple of days. We're going to make a decision very quickly.
By definition, not anything, I don't know what you really told me. By definition, it was in the capacity of the Citizens for Santino campaign. So by definition, it's not town business. The part that might be town business, since Jeff Gold is suing the town, might be because the town clerk or whoever manages those names, release those names inappropriately, which Supervisor Santino would not be responsible for in his official capacity unless he's intriguing in FOIL requests, which I assume he's not, because that's not his official capacity to dictate whether FOIL requests are filed or not. So he should have his own attorney, because Citizens for Santino has definitely, by definition, is a private entity. It's not
Citizens
a...
for Santino was sued, absolutely, they will have to get their own attorney.
Yeah, but they are being sued, so the idea that the town attorney's office is working 1 second on his defense...
I'm not so sure that that's accurate, but we'll make a decision very quickly. It only happened last Tuesday.
Well, that's a big time. Retaining an attorney is an expensive ordeal. Anytime they want 5, 10, 15, maybe in this case $30,000 up front, it's a big deal.
That's not how the town of Hempstead works.
No, I understand, but
we don't give them up.
He's saving $30,000 by not having to because you just don't go in and pay by the hour, and they check in and check out. You know how lawyers work. It doesn't work like that. So if you're saving him $30,000 in retainer fees, that's a big deal for him, and that's a benefit that the taxpayers is paying for.
Felix, you don't have much time.
Yeah, but thank you for letting me know that. Was the FOIL done by Bill Mueller by hand or by email?
No comment.
Okay. Were the FOILed records for Camp Anchor children Bill Mueller used to send letters? Were the FOIL records for Camp Anchor children the records used to send the letters to Anchor parents? Were those records that he obtained the ones he used?
Matter is in litigation, no comment.
Okay. Where are the names? Okay, I asked for the FOIL that Bill Mueller submitted. I didn't even get the FOIL. That's not a up for litigation. That's just the FOIL request itself. That's a piece of paper.
I will look at.
I also foiled the FOIL,
And
and I haven't received it yet.
That's a big problem, isn't it?
I'm not aware that you did that, but
I foiled it about, I think, 12:30 a.m. the day after it happened.
Okay.
Okay?
Once. Okay.
Now, which one, Rory, Gordon, or Lucille DeFino? Which one? Rory, Gordon.
Roy Gordon, Hauppauge, New York. I just have a question on this Woodmere golf course thing. Did you guys do a study? I didn't quite understand it. Was there some study?
Study is ongoing.
Oh, so they
Study is
started
ongoing,
it?
yeah.
Okay. How does the town decide what situations do they do studies on when there's a resolution being passed?
We have a large tract of property that might be developed, so we need to see what's appropriate for the area. I don't know how else to answer the question.
If I may, Mr. Rod, just to let you know, the engineering report was not only for the Woodmere Club. It was actually for every private golf course in the town of Hempstead.
Okay, so when you did the resolution for the windows and restaurant law, and I sat here and I asked you what studies were done, it was like a bunch of mutes up here, not a word. So how did you pass that law without any studies, claiming that it was a hazardous situation for public health and safety? How could you possibly pass a law like that?
Did you pass the moratorium?
No. The windows and restaurant law. Mr. Blakeman is not here, unfortunately, but he said he didn't even get the information that he requested. So how do you pass a law when no studies are done? How could you say that it's a problem and it's going to be a hazardous situation to the people of the town of Hempstead?
Isn't that under litigation?
No.
This is, with all due respect, you don't get to look into the minds of the legislators. So this is public comment. It's not question and answer. If we can answer, we will. In this case, we will not.
Okay. Moving forward, is there any chance, I know this is broad, but now that we have a new administration coming in, that you guys could look at the archaic laws that are on the books and get rid of them? I mean, there are laws on the books that are ridiculous. It's like nobody ever goes back. You pass more legislation, more legislation, more legislations. There's other communities that do that. for some reason, it never happens here. Did you ever consider that?
I think we'll have a fresh start.
Okay, good. Good answer. And lastly, Camp Anchor, what firm did the town of Hempstead hire?
Anthony Basilia. Is Anthony's first name? Angelo Basilia.
Angelo Basilio. That's a new one. Okay, thanks.
Councilwoman.
You didn't hear me call you? I'm going to let her speak, but I did call her. And I don't see another slip for you, Mr. Winner. Don't see it. On two different sheets? Two sheets. I don't see what's going on. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Winslow.
My name is Terry Winston. I reside in the village of Hempstead. On November 13th, myself and Catherine Gary were present at a public hearing hosted by the Town of Hempstead IDA regarding the transfer of a pilot from the previous owner to the new owner of 50 Clinton Street. As with quite a few meetings with the Town of Hempstead IDA, what was supposed to be a public hearing transgressed into an attack on not just my credibility and standing, but that of Catherine Gary, in addition to a concerned tenant of 50 Clinton Street. The primary purpose of a public hearing is to hear the concerns of the residents, which I am a part of, as well as any other individuals who may or may not be affected. I should not have to be subjected to irrelevant and humiliating questions such as my employment status. In addition, I am concerned with the legality of the manner in which the pilot was transferred. The Town of Hempstead IDA, in their written notice, had indicated that the application, along with other pertinent information, would be available to the public at the meeting. Fred Parola was asked about the application and the other documents, and he stated that he could not furnish the documents because they had to be redacted. How is it possible for a public hearing to be held and a decision to be rendered within the next 2 days by the Town of Hempstead IDA in spite of pertinent information deliberately withheld from the public? The Town of Hempstead IDA has made it absolutely clear by their actions how biased they are towards the residents and anyone else who is opposed to what their agenda is. The village of Hempstead has and will continue to drown in the cesspool of tax breaks for the filthy rich off the backs of the working poor. The Town of Hempstead IDA must be expunged. They have not been a solution. They have only hindered forward progress in the village of Hempstead. The cost for the homeowners far exceeds the minimum amount of jobs, if any, to the community. I can attest to that because I live in the village of Hempstead. The jobs created as a result of big business are a myth, and this is stated by Senator Chuck Schumer. And I know this because I see it and I live it every day. It is about time for the IDA to come back to reality, remove the blinders, and stop approving pilots for every rich, ill-deserved Tom, Dick, and Harry that comes along to the village. And I should not have to go to a meeting and have to battle with the Good Old Boys Club. That has to stop. The Good Old Boys Club, because that's what it's all about. They weren't expecting me to be at the meeting. That's why he asked me, did I work?
And that's it. Oh, yes, I am. And I hope they get rid of you. Because you're about as useful as a penny with a hole in it. Young lady, and that's about draining the corruption that we're living in Nassau County. We have a lot of money. We get nothing but crap. Don't do that in the audience. Because both parties are the same. Mr. Edmondson, Mr. Edmondson, would you please stop? You know better. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Valerie Lampigan, Baldwin. And so anyway, there's a lot of upset people, I guess, but true story. Came home the other day, had an overnight staycation at a great hotel in Plainview, had the best time, brought my dog and my significant other. And we actually did nothing. I highly recommend it. It was great. But anyway, after just, staying in, getting room service, watching some movies, when we woke up the next day, it was kind of like, all right, well, what should we do? And I said, well, you know what, we can't really do anything. We got to get home because we have some outside animals, these feral cats that we feed, relying on us. And I normally feed them religiously every day around the same time. And we were about 2 hours behind schedule. And let me tell you, they were waiting for us. They're sitting on the stoop and they're staring when we get home, like, where you been, I was hoping that Mr. Santino would still be here because it's November. It's the month of Thanksgiving. I have a lot to be thankful for. I'm very grateful I feel like I won the freaking lotto recently. But I was actually going to ask him if he would just consider revisiting the landfill cat situation and letting Stanley Lombardo be reunited with the feral cats that he has fed for 15 years and cared for. I really have no other agenda, but since he's not here and Councilman D'Esposito, it is your district. I mean, I think we have a very small but very distinct window of opportunity here to show some compassion. Anger and spite and vendettas tend to lose steam over time. Nope, that's not him. I'm hoping that maybe some of the gas has been taken out of this, bomb, but just let the guy back on. It's just going to be a matter of time before he gets on that property. I mean, we all know that, right? It's going to either be January or it's going to be a happy Thanksgiving. So I'm looking at you because you have the power. What's that? You're going to relay the message. Okay. All right. Well, on another note, I have this idea. And I know it sounds crazy, and I'm really hungry and tired right now, but I'm just going to throw it out there anyway. I had this idea for something called, are they knocking at me? I don't know. The Pepsi Challenge politics, because what we all see very, very clearly is that, there's expectations and teamwork going on here in the sense of it's kind of like one side will vote one way and the other side will vote the other way, and it's the same every time, especially today, right? It was like yes, no, abstain, yes, yes, no, and yes. That's it's we know who the teams are. So what I really would love to see is some way of blind legislation. So like if you propose something that has to do with, I don't know, a stop sign, no one knows who proposes it. It gets voted on and passed on its own merit. And if Erin proposes something, then we don't get to know who proposes it, because this way it is truly unbiased legislation or resolutions that are being voted on. And afterwards, by all means, let's reveal who voted for what and who introduced it. But I have a gut feeling, and I really believe this from the bottom of my heart, that if Erin's legislation about the Inspector General or the mailers was proposed and no one knew it came from her, it would have been voted on differently because it makes so much sense. Both of them. I have 47 seconds left. Believe me, I'm aware. Anyway, that said, I also would like to just propose one last thing, which I think is fair, because you have taxpayers and your constituents, the same ones that, you know, I got to be honest, I never paid attention to politics before this year. And speaking of new parties, we're calling ourselves the D-Publicans. It's kind of like a hybrid of Democrats and Republicans coming together for the greater good. And I'm hoping that we can accomplish great things together and work together genuinely for the best interest of the residents and taxpayers of the town of Hempstead.
Have a nice evening, and everybody have a very, very happy and Merry Thanksgiving. No, I got to go. I'm already late. I was supposed to be with the kids at 2:15. It's 2:30. I don't know what's going to be. It's going to be a